So now you understand the difference in dielectric material and ordinary material. When a metal can be called as a dielectric material, and how the electric field is influencing the dielectric material. If a metal is non-dielectric, can the field affect the polarization? Non-dielectric. Non-dielectric means dipoles are not there. If dipoles are there, then it is dielectric. Not there, non-dielectric. So, if you take a non-dielectric material and apply the electric field, is there any polarization? No, because dipoles are not there, right. But if there is dipole, then there will be polarization, and depending on the polarization, you can tell how much will be the dielectric constant. So, dielectric constant is an important parameter that will decide or how can you enhance the capacity of a capacitor, introducing the dielectric material, right. So, you know, if the parallel plate capacitor is there and you are introducing a dielectric material, then what will happen to that? Suppose this is a parallel plate capacitor and you are introducing a dielectric material into it, then ultimately its capacity will increase or decrease. It is plus Q, it is minus Q, and you are introducing a dielectric material into the space between two plates, completely filled, packed, right. Then what will happen to the dielectric constant? The capacity will increase. And then I told you about the other case, when it is partly filled, then what will happen? Like this, of a thickness T. If this difference is D and thickness of the dielectric slab introduced in between is T, then what will happen to the capacity? It is not completely filled, packed, right. The dielectric slab introduced into it is having thickness T. So, the other space available is D minus T, filled by air. Then how will be the capacity change? If it is completely filled, it is increased, right. But when partly filled like that, what will happen? Whether it will increase or decrease or it will remain same. That I told yesterday. Have you tried it? Then what will be the relation? How can you represent it by equation? Like for example, if there is dielectric material of K, then you are writing capacity is equal to what? K epsilon 0 A by D. That tells when K is more, C is more. When it is completely filled, right. But this situation, is the relation valid or not? If not, then what is the relation? Get the relation for capacity when it is partly filled by the dielectric material, like this diagram. If this dielectric material is having dielectric constant K. So, first what you have to do, potential will be same across the distance or it will change. Whatever potential difference V is applied here is same throughout or it will different, because that matters. C is equal to Q by V. If this V will change, accordingly C has to be changed. So, now tell whether that V will be same or it will be different if there is a dielectric slab in between. If you are introducing the dielectric slab which is completely filled, then that V is uniform throughout, right, but there is a air gap. So, you are getting some space with air and some space with dielectric material. Then how can you express that voltage drop across these two regions? So, that you can write actually V is equal to V air plus V dielectric material. That has to be known to you. What is the potential difference across the air medium and the dielectric medium? If you add them, then that is the total potential, and hence you can calculate the capacity, right. How can you write this voltage or potential difference in terms of electric field? What is the relation? Because you see, when you are taking the dielectric material, it has its own electric field which is opposing the applied electric field. Electric field is applied in this direction, but there is another electric field E prime which is opposing that, right. Two fields are there, external field, created field. Created field is by the dipoles within it. Then how can you write this potential difference in terms of that E? So, for air medium it is E or E prime? E. Then what is the potential difference? How can you write the potential difference for the air medium? What is E for air? What is this E? E will be how much? Sigma by epsilon 0, right? If surface charge density is sigma, then the E will be sigma by epsilon 0, right? Then V will be nothing but equal to E into D distance, but the D here is D minus T, right? Air medium. D the total separation distance. If T the thickness of that slab, then the air thickness is how much? D minus T. So, E multiplied by D minus T will give you the potential drop across the air medium, right. So, accordingly it is nothing but equal to sigma D minus T divided by epsilon 0. Let that be V air, right, in air medium. Similarly, if it is dielectric medium, then what will be your E? E will be how much? Let us say E prime, it is nothing but equal to this, right, sigma by k epsilon 0, right. Then accordingly what will be your V in that dielectric medium? Same thing, it is how much? E into T, right, T the thickness. Then ultimately how much you are getting? Sigma T divided by k epsilon 0, right. So, this is your drop across the dielectric media and this is the drop across the air media. So, ultimately V is nothing but equal to this sum of these two, because the applied voltage is V. The applied voltage V can be expressed as V or potential difference in the air media plus potential difference in the dielectric media. Then now you substitute the value and calculate. Then you put it here to calculate the C capacity. So, how much is the V value now? V will be equal to sigma by epsilon 0, then D minus T plus, right. This is the value of V. Then put it here to get C capacity. So, ultimately how much is the capacity? C is nothing but equal to Q is how much? Sigma A, right. If A is the area of that plate, Q will be how much? Sigma into A, then divided by sigma by epsilon 0 D minus T plus T by K, right. So, this sigma will cancel, which is epsilon 0 A divided by D minus T plus T by K, right. So, this is the capacity of that capacitor when there is a slab of thickness T in between these two plates, right. So, now this relation also tells if there is a dielectric media of thickness T, whether the capacity without T, the capacity is C. Now, if with T is the C prime, whether C prime is greater than C or less than C or equal to C, this relation will tell, because you know when there is a media completely filled, it is this much or not. When it is completely filled, this is the capacity, but when partly filled, this is the capacity, right. Then now tell if this is C and this is C prime, which is greater, completely filled or partly filled, in which case the capacity is more. And same media, dielectric media, here is having dielectric constant K, here is also K, here it is completely filled, packed, but here is partially filled with thickness T. Then whether C prime is greater than C or less than C or equal C. Can you get this relation out of it, right? If T equal to 0, you are getting that, right or not? If T equal to 0, then what will happen? K, if you are, suppose let us say dielectric material, forget about the dielectric material, it is air. If it is air, then what is the capacity? Epsilon 0 A by D, right. Three cases are there: without dielectric media, with dielectric media completely filled, partially filled. So, this is the case when it is totally air, right, and this is the case when it is filled by the dielectric material completely, and this is the case when it is partially, right. So, compare it with the air media, no doubt it is more than that, because K times, it is enhanced by K times, but here what will happen with respect to this? With respect to air media, whether it will more or less, how will you decide? Whether this quantity is less than D or more than D, that will tell, right. This quantity denominator is more than D or less than D. So, less than D means it will increase, right. If denominator is less, then what about the capacity? More, right. So, by introducing the dielectric slab of thickness T, the dielectric constant is more. So, C prime will be greater than C, but C is for air medium when you are comparing with the air media, but not with this dielectric completely filled, right. So, now you see when you are telling that T equal to 0, that means what? It is totally air. When T equal to 0, totally it is air, and you are getting the same relation or not, because this is 0, this is 0, ultimately epsilon A by D, same thing, right. So, this is the capacity which is epsilon 0 A divided by D minus T plus T by K. So, you can tell that what is this T by K, what is that T by K. From this relation, you see this is the air distance, right, D minus T is the air distance. Similarly, what is this distance is? T by K. T is the thickness of that material, but what is T by K? Because you see this is also distance or not? T by K is also distance, otherwise they cannot be added. Distance can be added with the distance only, right. It must have the dimension of length. Then what that length is? T by K. That is the air equivalent length of the dielectric media, right, air equivalent length, right. So, if there is a thickness of T dielectric media with dielectric constant K, then what is its air equivalent thickness? It is T by K, right. So, this is called as the T by K is called as the air equivalent. If you replace it by air, then how much length it will be? T by K. That is why it is added. This is air, this is also air, total is air, right, but that is called as the air equivalent, not equal but equivalent, air equivalent thickness or distance, right. So, these are the cases how the capacity of a parallel plate, and hence the other type of capacitors can be varied by introducing the dielectric media, right. So, when you are introducing the dielectric media, no doubt the capacity will have to increase, right, but again how much it will increase, who will decide? The value of K will decide, dielectric constant of that media will decide, right. So, what is the suitable media to enhance the capacity, that will be decided only by that K, dielectric constant of that material, right. If the dielectric constant is more, then obviously you can tell the capacity can be enhanced accordingly, right. So, therefore, when you want to increase the capacity, try to choose the dielectric material. What is the dielectric material, so that the capacity can be enhanced to that level, right. You know, if water is a problem because it is liquid, right, but what about the vapor? Vapor's dielectric constant is more than water or less than water? Water vapor, let us say it is filled by water vapor. Steam, not air but steam. Steam is also water, but in different form. Gaseous form of water is steam. Then when you introduce steam, whether it has the same dielectric constant as that of water or different? Different. It may be 1.02, extremely small, like air, right. So, when water vapor same as water, same as air, but when there is water 80 times more. That is the difference, because dielectric constant of vapor, water vapor is 1 point something, but not 1, 1 is only for air, right. Similarly, if you will fill it by ice, 3 different forms of water, ice is another form of water, solid form, right. Water is having dielectric constant 80, vapor is having dielectric constant 1 point something. What about the ice? You can introduce ice slab, that also constituting of water molecules, right. Ice also consisting of water molecules, and they are all dipoles. So, ice must have also dipole moment or dielectric constant, but whether it is more than water vapor or less than water vapor, more, right. So, depending on 3 different forms of water, you can change the capacity, but it is never applicable because there is leakage, right. Maybe water vapor, maybe water, maybe ice, right. So, usually you are selecting the solid materials which are not having that kind of leakage, right. If you fill it by gas, same problem will come, gas will leak. If you fill it by liquid, same problem will come, there will be leakage, but if it is filled by solid, then there is no chance of leakage. It will remain intact and the capacity will be maintained forever. So, now these are the capacity, and you know now what is polarization, what is dielectric material, and what is its effect in the electric field, right. So, when dielectric material is put in a electric field, what will happen there? Suppose for example, let this is an dielectric material, right, there is no field, and now I apply an electric field. Is there any difference or the same? No field is there, field is there. Is there any difference in that dielectric material or they are same? Without field, with field, they are different, right, because if there is no field, then what will happen to the dielectric constant or dipole moment? It is 0 vector. Dipoles are there, no doubt, but the net dipole moment will be 0. They are not aligned, they are not polarized, right. But when there is an electric field applied, they are compelled to align in certain direction. So, when they are aligned, then what will happen? If the dipoles are aligned like this, right, then ultimately you are getting two poles, one at this side, other at this other side. As a result, it will have a dipole moment in the direction from negative to positive, and if this is the direction of the dipole moment, which is a vector, so this dipole moment is only relevant to E. No E, no dipole moment. No field, no dipole moment. But when there is field, there is dipole moment, right. And when there is dipole moment, again there is a field created, right. The field is in what direction? Field is always from positive to negative, right. Field is from positive to negative. So, this is an opposing electric field created when there is an applied electric field, right. When a dielectric material is put in the electric field which is in this direction, then what is the electric field created within the dielectric material, which is opposing or supporting? It will oppose, right. If this is E prime due to the dipole alignment, then obviously you can tell E is less than E prime. The net field here will be how much? E minus E prime, because they are opposite to each other. So, that is the situation when there is field, no field, right. No field, no polarization, no dipole moment. But when there is field, the field is changed. External field is E, created field due to dipole is E prime, and they are opposite to each other. So, within the material, the net field will be E minus E prime, right. Then now you know about if suppose for example, you want to enhance the capacity by taking many capacitors, let us say parallel plate, right. Let us say this is a capacitor of capacity C1, this is a capacitor of capacity C2, like that there are n number of capacitors, all are parallel, right. All are parallel plate capacitors with different capacities, right. So, combining them, how can you achieve more capacity or less capacity? There are how many possibilities? 3: series, parallel, combination, like resistance, right. In case of resistance, there is series connection, parallel connection and mixture. Same thing happens here also. You can combine them in series or in parallel or combination, series plus parallel together, right. Then if you think about the series connection, what will happen to capacity, and when there is parallel combination, what will happen to the capacity? Let us say you take 3, let there are 3 capacitors with different capacity C1, C2, C3, let they are connected in series, right. This is the series connection with a source or not. Now they are connected in series, end to end is series connection, right. Suppose this is plus Q, this is minus Q, this is again plus Q, minus Q, plus Q, minus Q, right. So, voltage drop across these 3 capacitors are different or same? Capacities are different, right. One is C1, second is C2, third is C3. So, now tell whether the charge what will happen to the potential drop? Here is V1, here is V2, here is V3, right. So, it tells obviously V equal to V1 plus V2 plus V3, because potential is scalar, it has to just add it up. Then find what is V1, V2 and V3, find out what is V1, V2 and V3. Then you can get the combination formula for series capacitors. So, what will be the formula? What will be V1? What is the value of V1? Voltage drop across first capacitor. V1 is Q by C1, yes, then this is Q by C2 and this is Q by C3, right. If the combined or effective capacity is taken to be C, then it must be equal to Q by C, right. Equivalent capacity of the combination is if C, then this V is nothing but equal to Q by C. So, these two are equal, right. Then it tells 1 by C equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus 1 by C3. So, this is the series combination. When they are combined in series, just opposite relation like resistance. When it is resistance, parallel is this, right. 1 by R equal to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3. But for capacitor, it is just opposite. When series, this relation, when parallel, add up, right. So, then now you tell if you join them in series, whether the capacity will more or less than the individuals. Individuals are C1, C2, C3, right. But when you are adding them up in series, effective capacity is C, right. So, what about this C? Less. So, that is advisable to take or not. Usually you are doing the combination only to get the advantage, right. But by adding them in series, what will happen? Its capacity is reducing, right, because you are taking the reciprocals, right. Reciprocal of C1, reciprocal of C2, reciprocal of C3, they are added up to get the reciprocal. For example, let us say C1 equal to 0.1, C2 equal to 0.2 farad, C3 equal to 0.3 farad. Tell me now what is the C? In series combination, if the capacities are 1 farad, 0.1 farad, 0.2 farad, 0.3 farad, then what is the effective capacity when they are connected in series? And generally farad is a big unit, usually you are taking microfarad, let us say microfarad, 0.1 microfarad, 0.2 microfarad and 0.3 microfarad. Then what is the value of this C? Effective capacity of the combination 0.05 microfarad, right. So, now you check, it is 0.1, it is 0.2, it is 0.3. From all these cases it is less. So, why to go for that kind of combination, right. So, it is not advisable to connect them in series if you need more capacity, right. But what will happen when they are in parallel? Let us say this is a capacitor and this is another capacitor and this is another capacitor. You are taking 3 like that. If it is n, just you add it up to Cn, n may be any number, right. We have done it for 3, you can extend it for any number. Similarly, when that is parallel also you are going for 3 and you can go for n. So, let these are the capacity C1, C2, C3 and apply to a voltage V from the source. Now, it is parallel connection, right. Now, the capacitors are in parallel connection because all are applied with same potential difference, that is parallel, but here it is different, that is why it is series. Here all the capacitors are connected to same potential difference and that combination is called as the parallel combination. So, then what will happen here? Effective capacity, how to get it, find out. What will happen? If you take this is the capacity C1, then it will store Q1 charge depending on the same potential, right, because capacity is that which controls the charge in it. So, if it is C2, this will be Q2, this is Q3, right, but the net charge applied across the combination is if Q, then Q must be equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3. So, with this is the principle if, then you will get C equal to C1 plus C2 plus C3, right, because what will be your Q1? What will be your Q1? Q1 equal to C1V, yes, Q2, C2V, Q3, C3V, and if effective is C, then obviously you can tell it is CV equal to C1V plus C2V plus C3V. Take V outside, you will get this relation, right, C equal to C1 plus C2 plus C3, or if you go for n number, just extend it up to n, right. So, now this tells by combining them in parallel there is advantage, right, because the capacity can enhance, but by combining them in series the capacity will reduce, right. Same capacitors connected in series and parallel is a difference. In case of parallel it is enhancing, but in case of series it is reducing, right. And if it is a mixture, then you try it in your home, what will happen? Mixture means it goes like that. There are some series like that, it may be n number also, and here also same thing 1, 2, 3 like that, and let there are n number of such parallel combinations, right. It is a mixture, series is there and this is parallel to this, right. So, first you find all series in one, then take the parallel, then only you will get the effective, right. So, what will happen when there is a combination of both series and parallel, like resistance combination, right. So, this is about the polarization, dielectric, and when the field is applied on a dielectric material, what happens there, right. But so, what will happen, what is the difference between a conductor and an insulator? In terms of dielectric material, you can tell wood is a dielectric material or conductor? Wood, dry wood, dry wood, there is no water. Then now the question comes, when you will tell it is a dielectric material and when it is a insulating material? Would you follow me what I am telling? Insulator may be dielectric, may not be dielectric, right. Insulator may be dielectric, may not be dielectric. All insulators are not dielectric. Remember, all insulators are not dielectric, but all dielectrics are insulators. So, justify that. How and why? In case of wood, how can you justify it? All dielectrics are insulators, but all insulators are not dielectric. Then what this wood is? Is it a dielectric material or insulating material? Paper, the paper on which you are writing, is dielectric or insulating? You see, when you are telling dielectric, obviously it is insulating, right, because all dielectrics are insulators, right, but all insulators are not dielectric, there is difference. So, then paper is an insulator or dielectric, wood is an insulator or dielectric, cannot be both. If dielectric, obviously insulator, but reverse is not true, right. So, you have to define in terms of dielectric, not insulating. If you know it is dielectric, then it must be insulator, but if insulator, may be, may not be, right. Then water, paper, this wood are dielectric materials or insulating materials. What do you mean by insulating material? When you will tell this material is insulating? When there is no charge carrier, right, neither ion nor charge, may be positive or negative, right. If there is no free charge carriers within that, then it is an insulator, right. Then why metals are conductors? They are not insulators. You know, metals are conductors or insulators? Conductors. Then why metals are conductors? In case of conductors, you are getting at least 2 or 3 free electrons which are never bound to the nucleus of the same atom, never. That is why plenty of free electrons are there in metals, plenty, right. Plenty of charge carriers are available in metals, that is why they are conductors. Freely they are randomly moving within it, because at least from one atom minimum 3-4 free electrons are there which are not bound to the nucleus of that atom. So, similarly many atoms are there, many free electrons are there, right. So, per unit volume the number of free charge carriers are enormous, that is why they are conductors. But in case of insulators, that thing never happens. All the electrons are tightly bound with the nucleus of the atom, there is no charge carrier, that is why they are never conductors, right. Unless there is charge carrier, they will never go for conduction. So, in case of insulator, there is no charge carrier, all the charge carriers are tightly bound with the nucleus of each and every atom and molecule, right. But in case of conductors, plenty number of charge carriers are available. So, when you apply the potential difference, they will flow and there will be current, right. If you take it, suppose for example, let us say a piece of copper wire, right. So, copper atoms will be there. If it is a copper wire, it consisting of copper atoms, but if you take a copper atom, this is the nucleus and the electron cloud is there around it. What is the atomic number of copper? Atomic number of copper, how many electrons are there? 23, right. So, it is electron cloud but out of these 23 electrons, maybe more than 5, 6, right, are not tightly bound to the nucleus, right, they are not bound to the nucleus. So, as if they are free. So, if for one atom there are 5, 6, imagine how many atoms are here in this piece of wire, right. So, in this piece of wire plenty number of free electrons are available, plenty, and the best conducting material is what? Which is the best conducting material available to us? Silver is the best, but because of its price we are not using it. It is very costly because it is very rare in availability, because cost is all the time decided by the resource, whether the resource is plenty or minimum. If it is plenty, cheap; if it is minimum, cost. Everything is decided by that market price. So, copper is no doubt cheaper than silver, that is why we are using it as a conductor, and now also we are using aluminum, right. Copper is still better than aluminum, but still we are not using it because of price, right. Copper is costlier than aluminum, costlier. Copper is costlier than aluminum, right. So, if you take aluminum, copper and silver, which is the best conducting material? Silver is the best, next is copper, next is aluminum, right. But we are using aluminum because otherwise it will be costly affair, right. Usually unless it is required, copper conducting wires are never used. In machineries, in sophisticated instruments only you are using copper wire, right. Otherwise in general the transmission of the electric power is by what? Aluminum or copper? All are aluminum, all are aluminum. Long distance transmission is done through aluminum wire, never copper wire, right. So, therefore, it all decided by the price. Then now if you take this copper piece, then what will happen here? The free electrons are moving there randomly or in a particular direction. No doubt free electrons are there, but those free electrons are moving randomly or in a direction. They are moving randomly. That is why copper, if you take a piece of copper, what is the current in it? Simply piece of copper, no current, but charge carriers are moving. Charge carriers are not at rest, electrons are all the time moving, but the resultant drift velocity is 0 vector, right. The resultant drift velocity of all the electrons involved there comes to be a 0 vector. So, there is no net displacement. So, there is no flow. You cannot tell there is flow of charge carriers because there is no displacement. Unless there is displacement, there is no chance of flow, and unless there is if there is no flow, then there is no current, because the rate of flow of charge is current, right. The rate of flow of charge is current. So, if there is no flow, no current. And what do you mean by that flow? When you will tell the charge carriers are flowing, here they are not flowing, they are moving but not flowing, right. They are moving in a random motion, zigzag motion, Brownian motion. That is why there is no current, because they are not flowing. But if I will apply some potential difference here, it will compel them to go in a particular direction, and that is flowing, right. If potential difference is applied, then the charge carriers are compelled to flow, drift, displace, therefore there is current. So, the cause of current in a conductor is the potential difference. If there is no potential difference, no current, right. So, the reason is that unless there is flow, flow means with a certain direction, they should flow all the time. If water is flowing, you are telling, you have to tell the direction, in what direction it is flowing, otherwise flow has no meaning. So, similarly, when you are telling the charge carriers are flowing, then you must have to know in what direction they are flowing. So, unless they flow, there is no current. They may move, but there is no current. So, therefore, to achieve the state of flow, there should be a potential difference. So, the cause of the current in a conductor is the potential difference, right. No potential difference, no current. Same conductor, no current when there is no potential difference, but when you apply the potential difference, there will be current, right. So, therefore, if you take this type of conductors, now tell, if you tell a conductor, insulator, now you know how many types of materials in electric property. Electric behavior of a material is categorized into how many categories? on the basis of electrical properties. You know about conductor, insulator, semiconductor. Now another thing is coming, dielectric, right? They are all different. So one is called as the conductor, then insulator, then semiconductor, and then dielectric. So then now you should have to understand how they are distinguished from each other. When you will tell it is a conductor, when it is an insulator, when it is a semiconductor, and when it is a dielectric, right? All are consisting of atoms, but the behavior and nature of atoms make them different, right? Nature and behavior of the atoms involved in that material make them different to be called either a conductor or insulator or semiconductor or dielectric. If the atoms are not dipole, you can never tell it is dielectric material, never, right? But if it is a conductor, there should be free charge carriers. If it is an insulator, no free charge carriers, and if it is a semiconductor, few, number is limited. Charge carriers are there, no doubt, but the number is very, very small. So in that way you can distinguish them from each other, so far as the electrical property is concerned. But that does not mean that suppose I will take a dielectric material, it is not only having the electric property, it will also have the optical property, it will also have the mechanical property, it will also have the magnetic property. All the properties you have to look at the same time. Same material may possess different properties. Electric is different, electric, magnetic, optics, all the properties are associated with any material, but you are interested for what kind of property out of it, right? And this dielectric is relevant directly with the optical property also, right? Optical property, particularly the refractive index, is basically controlled by the dielectric property of the material. So there is a relation between dielectric as well as the optical property. So the material is same, but how the properties are coming out for the application point of view, we have to decide which property you need and how to control it as per the requirement, right? So then now you know the differences between this conductor, insulator, semiconductor and dielectric. This is the new one added up now, and it is possible only when there is dipoles, right? Unless the atoms and molecules of that material is a dipole, do not expect that it will be a dielectric material, right? So now, yes, now the difference is, what is the difference then between insulator and dielectric? Now you can classify. Dielectric is an insulator, but insulator is not dielectric. Then what is the difference? Why you are telling like that? Why dielectric is an insulator? Is there any charge carrier in dielectrics? Dipoles are there, but the poles are neutral, right? The dipoles are neutral or having charge? Neutral. So where is the charge carrier? That is why they are insulators, right? Dipoles are moving, but they do not have any charge. That is why they cannot be treated as the charge carrier. That is why the dielectrics are insulators. So either there may be charge carriers, may not be charge carriers, or may be dipoles, same thing, right? Dipoles are having no charge, they are not charge carriers, but they are moving, right? Dipoles are moving, but they do not have any charge. So if there is no charge carrier, then it is an insulator. Therefore all dielectrics are insulators, but all insulators are not dielectric, because it may happen the insulating material may not have the dipoles, right? The insulating material may not have the dipoles, may have atoms and all the electrons are tightly bound to the nucleus, then also it is an insulator, right? The charge carriers are not free, then it is an insulator. So therefore all insulators are not dielectric, but all dielectrics are insulators, right? So then now I will tell you what about the Poisson's equation that you learned, what it basically tells. Poisson's equation, what basically that tells? Huh? No, what is the relation? What the relation is? Grade. Poisson equation is never in grade. Huh? Del square rho. Huh? Del square V, this, then equal to minus or plus? Rho by epsilon 0, right. So, this equation is called as Poisson's equation. So, what it basically tells? Gauss law, right, because you know what do you mean by how it is related with the divergence del square V? Is it related to divergence or not? What is del V? Is it relevant with the electric field? Yes, E equal to grade V, not di V, it is grade V, right. So, if you take del operation on electric field, then you are getting this minus of, right, minus of del square E is also the same thing, right. So, this tells basically how the net flux coming out of an enclosure, enclosing charge within it. If the charge density is rho, then it is in terms of rho, right. So, then now tell it will reduce to a Laplacian equation when Poisson's equation will reduce to Laplace's equation, when rho is 0, no charge, right. If there is no charge, there is no charge density. So, ultimately you can tell del square V equal to 0, and this is the Laplacian, and this Laplacian is the language of electrostatics, remember it. If you understand this Laplacian, you can understand all electrostatics, right, everything will come out of it. So, this voltage, this is the potential difference, it is related with the field or field intensity, everything, all the relation that you have learned till now is contained within that relation, that is called as an Laplacian or Laplace's equation, right. So, obviously this Laplacian is having how many dimensions? Maybe 1, 2, 3, right. If it is one dimension, then how will you represent that? If it is one dimension, how will you represent? Del or D is same or different? If it is one dimension, what is the difference in partial and direct? Dimension is only one, D is del. If there is 2, then it is partial, right. So, if it is writing d by dx square, right, that is your del square, then whatever quantity may involve in that, if equal to 0, then this equation, or you can write del square V or d square V by dx square equal to 0. It is a one dimensional Laplacian equation, because the variable is only x, right. The variable here is only x. Now, tell what is the solution of this differential equation. You might have learned about it. A second order differential equation, straight line, yes, y equal to mx plus c is a solution to that equation, but it tells the electrostatics if you understand the meaning of m, c and y, right. No doubt it is straight line, but you will understand the electrostatics only when you are understanding the meaning of y, m, c, right. So, then how many constants are involved here? 2, m and c, right. So, then now if you represent that, suppose for example, this is a straight line, then it goes with negative slope or positive slope. The slope will be negative or positive for Laplacian equation in first order, because the electrostatic will come into picture when you are defining the boundary, right. You must define the boundary for the Laplacian equation to understand the electrostatics. Then to understand the boundary, you might have know what is the boundaries for the variables x and y, and to define x and y, you should have to understand what are the values of these constants m and c. M is the slope and c is the intercept, right. Then now tell if this is an equation representing this same y equal to mx plus c, then what it indicates at this point here, what happens? Y equal to 0 means x is having some value or not, right. So, one boundary is defined here, one boundary is defined here, another boundary is defined here, right. So, boundary is fixed, then you can relate this with the electrostatics, but without boundary you can never understand the electrostatics. And similarly, if it is 2 dimensional, what will write? Del square V by del x square plus del square V by del y square equal to 0, 2 dimension, plane, it is line, that is plane, right. So, it is second order differential equation, but with 2 variables x and y, right. Then in that case, whether you are expecting there are only two such constants or maybe more than 2, here there are 2 only, m and c. So, it is easy to handle, right. It is easy to handle because there are only 2 constants, one is m, other is c, intercept and slope both are constant. But if it is 2 dimension, whether it has only 2 or maybe more than 2 or less than 2. The situation is more complicated or easier? Complicated. And Gaussian solution or Gaussian surface is the rough solution, but this is the fair solution, right? You are solving the problem by Gaussian surface, right? Gaussian surface solve the problem, but it is not that accurate like Laplacian equation. It is more accurate. Solution will be more accurate, provided if you know the boundary, right? Provided if you know the boundary. So similarly, if it is 3 dimension, x, y, z will be equal to 1, right? So try to understand these 3 Laplacian equations in 3 dimensions and how it will be applicable for electrostatics, how it helps, right? Next time we will discuss on that.